We're back, friends. DJ Zed, you were supposed to have been playing already. Sneak in with me. Friends, Romans, countrymen. Is 33.3 the magic number on this? I have to test it. It doesn't look right, but that's only because of the scale of the thing. Come on, give me 33.2. That sounds way too loud. I can hear just off the side in the headsets that monitor this. Okay, friends, we're back. I dialed it back. This is still OBS. Something happened recently in an update to OBS, and there's no more chat window, which bums me out. But it is performing well. And it is doing probably a lot better now. Yes? Greetings. I'm back. Check. So right now it's like I'm going to do this again, but with the other one, with Streamlabs desktop. I'm going to match the settings I've set everything to now. Set this to preview mode. Stop looking up there. I also want to make sure that we come over here and look at the chat. Welcome to the Zeppoverse, folks. Once this short, brief spurt of intermittent quality assurance test mini episodes gets done, none of which will be in any way, shape, or form really that important, other than hopefully we have now dialed it in. We've got it. It looks halfway decent. It sounds halfway decent. It doesn't look the shittiest that it has, which, trust me, in the past, I've sat here on stream streaming video game footage that looked like literal pixelated mud, whilst I was like, staring at the gorgeousness of my 2K screen. I should have a 4K screen, but I couldn't afford it. I should have a much more robust PC and or waited for the next generation of Macs instead of bum rushing getting this one right when I did, because the next ones came out like less than 4 or 5 months later. Not even a full 6 months yet. Well, this is years ago, right? It's when the Intel Silicon chip switch happened. Although I don't know for certain which one does or does not perform better. But I am grateful, gratitude. This machine is a bit of a beast and does some pretty awesome things. And it does let me stream. And after having figured out a few simple things that I was doing wrong, I finally got my overall, regardless of studio, I've got my overall profile of settings, I think, fine-tuned. This should look pretty halfway decent. And I don't know what image that is, but it's blank. Chaos Variety Chaos. We're going to be, after we finish the quality assurance test between this and Streamlabs, I'm going to pick one of the two based on the overall quality of these short episodes. Basically between this and whatever happens next. Whichever one looks and sounds the betterest between me switching back and forth, doing some scenes, playing some music in the background. We'll go. I am inclined to just keep using OBS since we are going primarily just exclusively to Twitch, because they're generally speaking a little bit less chaotic. And I just discovered something that I've been praying for. I had prayed for a long time ago. Follow me through I almost forgot to explain this. I totally forgot to explain this in the last one, but apparently the lag was horrible. Join me through the desktop infinity portal of infinities with no chat window, which means I'm going to have to open up the backside of Twitch every time I want to respond to chat. Speaking of which, this is the other thing I wanted to show you. Guess who finally dropped a native to iMac TikTok live studio? None other than the one, the only, the actual TikTok. Now, I understand that's actually been in development for a while. and I had heard some rumblings, but I did not monitor it as close as I maybe could have, should have, would have tried to hype and talk about it. But it is here. It is installed. I have yet to ever fire it up. I'm going to have to log in to authenticate, connect to my TikTok. And then I'm going to find out whether or not it can like import settings from OBS or from Streamlabs desktop. I don't know which one of the two I would ask it to import from, or if I would go through and try to manually configure, or if it would have, if it has an auto configure, I might just run that first. Surprisingly, in the past, with either OBS or Streamlabs desktop, the running that does not actually make it the best. You have to tweak away from what it picks to get it to really be, I don't know. Fingers crossed this is looking really good. But now I'm torn between what I'm going to do next. As you can see, we're live on OBS. That's what we're looking at here. Right now, it's the winner. If I had to pick one reason why it's the winner, and here, you should be able to see this. This is enable, disable preview mode. Boom. That theoretically should give a little bit of, especially over time, like advantage to performance, because it's not trying to render that back at me. But you can still see this, and you guys can still see what's happening here. It's muted. It's not muted, and I could tell really easily. And that's something that, tragically, for worse or for worse, because there ain't no better to it, over in good old trusty green giant, otherwise super over excelling, super overachieving Streamlabs desktop. For me, if I put on preview mode to preserve that little bit of incremental better performance or less worse performance over time, let's put it that way, I can no longer see the peak meter. I can adjust and influence the volume on stuff correctly, but I can't. The peak meter ceases to exist as an animated thing. I wish they would like simplify it, but not make it go away. Here it's still visible and apparently not part of the reduce the overhead burden on the machine that's running this application. That is the tiniest and that's the silliest reason, in my humble opinion, for any of them to out of all of them. But again, also I've never used the TikTok Live app. I'm gonna fire it up in between live streams and set it up to go live on TikTok. And then I guess I'm gonna live stream to TikTok and see what it turns out like. See what it looks like. See what its innate capabilities are. See whether or not it's got overlays in the same sort of like free and or pay to play marketplace that the other two do/don't have in their own ways. There is one that was built for OBS before the whole drama of the two splitting up, and that's the other asset collection site that I also have an account at, that I used to go pull overlays and scene images and stuff from. That's why I have such a weird eclectic collection. Now, bizarrely, the two of them is synchronized with each other, OBS and Streamlabs desktop. Now, I've been tweaking manually the settings to the same setting. We're about to test it over there on the Jolly Green Giant, which is what I call desktop Streamlabs. We're here on the placid purple monster. It was a surprise that Streamlabs desktop came back, because some prior update in the not too distant past had sort of made it unable to launch for me. It came back like clearly trying to prove a point that it was lighter and faster and better, and it's been performing well. And I think I've just finally honed in on the perfect settings for both / or either of them. My Xbox is not on, so we won't look at that. But yeah, when we come back, I'm going to just fire that one up just to do a little blah, 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 jump through some scenes, check it out, ramble, maybe say hello. Now, the only other reason why I might stick to that one is maybe at the new settings that we've selected, it will do the dual stream to TikTok good. But also, now as you've seen, we literally have... jump back to the Infinity Portal. This is a winner because enabling that and still seeing which the microphone is not muted. Good. Okay. No matter what I do, no matter what scene, it's all going to look right. Anyways, I'm actually now pretty eager. I'm postponing the creative writing, learning the new tool that I decided to maybe invest so much time into as I refocus my daily live stream show to focus more on my original writing / subversive, illicit collaboration with the digital overlords vis-a-vis exploring, not churning out AI slop, but actually collaborating with the AI as they're intended to see if it makes me money. The whole point is it's supposed to empower creatives that are limited by, technical skills they may not have, i.e. mostly drawing and following storytelling narrative format. I also know that I've got a living, thriving story that exists on its own with a cast of characters, a cavalcade of multiple casts of multiple characters. I assure you that these tools are only just going to help me get the build enough of it to people get the picture and start crowdfunding me so I can hire other collaborators. Because it's too much, whether I talk about just typing the words in a Hemingway style, like just write the pulp. It's too much for one person to do. If I'm never going to meet the collaborators that I had, and this is a sad thing to consider. I don't love AI. I don't mindlessly, ruthlessly hate it. I think that they are proving themselves to be cruel, malicious, or severely incompetent, or all of that combined, by insisting on doing it the most toxic, the most disruptive to people, the most punitive, let's put it that way, means possible in terms of their mega scaling. That's a whole, put a pin on the corkboard. That's a whole other subject. We can do a whole series on that. If you've been paying attention to my reblog tabs on my social media profiles, on the blue app, Facebook, the blue and white app, it's really hard to find unless you're following me and asking and prioritizing me to get me in your feed really strong. It's hard to easily see the things that I bookmark to my save lists, which is their equivalent of the reblog tab, which is much simpler. Although they kind of abstract it because both the other main social media apps that are now super cozy friendly with each other, which is hilarious. Anyways, I'm going to try to tour live streaming from multiple platforms. I'm going to direct live stream from the apps that I have on my phone. Because, I can do that. I can do short bursts of bizarre, weird, and then be like, hey, stay tuned for more episodic mini micro content of me rambling in my super long form content, which happens on multiple different platforms. So tune in as I'm either gonna zero in. I don't know which I'm gonna do. I originally was going to I'm just babbling to prolong because a certain X amount of time is useful. Oh, let's see. The skipped frames due to encoding lag has reached 7.2%, which isn't horrible, but has hit it at a red rating, which we were never getting at 30 FPS. We were at a really delightfully cozy, never getting a color-coded flag. So that's interesting and alarming. That's the kind of thing, this is what this quality assurance trouble testing is all about. So forgive me and thank you for indulging me. I think what we will do is we set it to the big thing that boosted everything that I'm sure is actually probably proving pretty, because it does look a lot better already. when I do put on the preview mode or enable preview mode so I can see the screen, was bringing it back to the original footprint of the base output and the scales. That's the biggest I can make my base output without it like taxing the F out of the performance. Now we just gotta fine tune the FPS. The answer may be going straight back to 30. Right now we got it at 50 FPS. So a 720 DPI, 720, 1080, 720 screen size, which is, for watching on your phone, is actually fine. It's better than fine. Sometimes shit looks pretty great. The only thing that looks better is when I game and stream directly from the Xbox, followed very closely by when I stream directly from the native Twitch app on my iPad, using that to game an iPad app instead of pumping it through one of these apps. We're gonna I'm feeling scatterbrained, but I think the next thing we're gonna do is tweak OBS one more time and do a quick jump back on, jump back off. See, now we're at 14.9%. We don't want that. Do I want to step through? There's a 48 FPS, or do I just want to punch it back down to 30 and leave it alone? Executive decision. I'm going to tweak this and Streamlabs desktop. That's the green giant. This is the purple one, and then TikTok's the red studio. But we're gonna set it all to the 1020 780. The 1020 780, I believe. 30 FPS. Although it can carry 60, it still gets a little dark about it. And at 30, I think it'll just work the best out of everything. And then we're gonna I'm gonna set that up for this and Streamlabs, and then maybe fire up the TikTok live and sort it out and stream to them for a hot minute, depending on what I see when I open up the studio. But we're gonna have to test that at some point. I might. It's not impossible. Well, no, I definitely. Now that it's here and it exists, if it performs as well as the mean average between the two, OBS was always technically superior and ran lighter and faster and net result better. But I liked a lot of features that Streamlabs desktop innovated on, and now they've balanced out between those two extremes. And I'm talking in totally free mode. Well, I'm lucky. I paid for the Prime subscription and got a lot of cool assets on that and the other platform that I couldn't remember the name of earlier, and paid for the rights to install and save and reuse all the pretty lights that you see on the show. Anyways, blah blah blah. That's what we're doing. I've already spelled it out. Thank you for watching. I'm gonna bounce out, follow the instructions I just laid out for myself in my head without repeating them to you again, or else I'll spiral out of control. And then I'll see you when I see you. It won't be hilarious. Wouldn't it be delightful and hilarious if the TikTok app gave us a free co-stream to Twitch? Because they got a deal the other way around somehow. I don't know that that's true, but it's here, and I gotta test drive it at some point. It may or may not be next. If it is next, then I'll see you when I see you. We will be getting back to actually exploring the. Hold on, get back to the camera. We will, I swear. So now it's at 23. That's just climbing up and up. I am curious what the 48 FPS percentage. Maybe that's the happiest balance. Maybe I should step through and test that. Here's what we'll do. I will end this episode. We're going to do an episode 1C. And during that, we will, using the desktop portal, launch for the very first time the TikTok studio, just to give ourselves a little guided tour, see what the F. and maybe poke around its settings. See if we can mirror the settings we've got for this. And to that end, you know what we can do before we leave this episode? Let's jump back through the Infinity desktop portal of Infinity, which now looks the prettiest it can look. It'll look even better if I do this. There it is. It's an infinity portal into the desktop of my computer. Okay, here's what we can do. While we continue to stream to Twitch exclusively using OBS, the OG, totally free, and totally native to Windows and Mac. So that's pretty cool. We're gonna launch Streamlabs desktop and adjust its settings to the newer settings that we like, in anticipation of then launching it for the next short episode, the one I was just envisioning, where we will retroactively revisit and step through changing OBS settings, trusting that that'll work the right way next time we launch that. But then also open up this new one, the TikTok Live Studio, to poke around and set it up for whenever we next stream to TikTok Live. Now, I'm going to just have to pick a routine. I don't know if like once a week or what. The heck? What is making music? Why do we got music playing in the background? Oh, because I got DJ Zed playing. And I have it set to that instead of the speakers. I gotta revisit that master audio setting, both in OBS and in Streamlabs desktop, before we dare launch that, just to confirm that the master setting about what is the monitor output, because I don't want it to be the speakers. I want the speakers to be the speakers and play whatever it plays, separate from either of all of the streaming studio apps. Okay, anyways, blah blah blah. Thank you, DJ Zed, for reminding me that was happening. We will tweak that. Yeah, okay. This, dear friends, we're looking at the inside of Streamlabs desktop. I recently set this to the big old full size. We're gonna change that. I think even we're trying to test it. I bet it's gonna be laggy AF. Now, the scientist in me is like, no, we should, for integrity's sake, test it just to see. Maybe, just maybe, it'll get strong. But the cynical realist in me is like, no, bro. Trust in the reality. It's got to be the 1020 780 DPI at maybe 48 DPS frame or FPS. And if not that, the 48, there's a 48 option. 50's not quite cutting it. At least not on OBS, which I'm surprised by. Okay, let's look. Well, you don't need to update those. Those should all be so 1080, and it's just not gonna work. It's 1280 by 720, right? Something I fix it in the other thing. And this we tested 50 now piling up. I was thinking of test 48. We would test 48 over here with these. It's the Green Monster desktop, Streamlabs desktop. I did that with OBS, but I'm gonna step down with both of them. Not about testing. I know it won't work. OBS is just lighter and tighter than Streamlabs. Maybe some other day. That's in the hood. Got there. Is this better check or not? Post one to that. I always did to see a about this setting too. And then focus on. No, we're gonna focus. We had this check mark, so we're gonna leave it alone. I do not have the pro mode. I'm totally using stuff. Now, some of those assets I got during my year-long paid subscription to pro mode. When you do that, you can keep it. You can get to keep using it. So my bitrate is set to 600. I like OBS that doesn't auto. It just lets it do whatever. But 600, higher than that, it wasn't liking it. 600, it floats up near, but at or a little bit above, actually. On both this and OBS. So, boom, bada boom, boom, boom. We're going to test that next. I'm going to reset the world, take another little mini micro break, not going to get up from my chair. We're going to launch Streamlabs Desktop to compare and contrast its performance and net result, looks and feel and quality of the video, as we also preview the insides of TikTok Studio and brainstorm about when is the right time to stream to TikTok for a couple hours in rotation to doing everything else. And we're going to start doing that with my multiple Facebook profiles about different things. So different subjects. Gaming Mr. Zeppo, that's that place where I'm going to live stream direct to them my gaming through one of these ones that I can do it with. Etc., etc. You get the gist of it. Okay. I think that did it. Now we're going to have to reset everything. But most of it's going to be as simple as fit the screen again. Just fit the screen. Boop. This one still works perfectly fine. Social media, I think we had done some adjustment. We will eyeball it again. The center. If you, tragically, I can't, like, even though this is all foldered, if I go center the wrong way, it'll scrunch all the objects together. I can center it top down. Transform. Not on screen. Center vertical. But if I try to center horizontal, it'll just go bonk and make a pile. Instead of fix the gap between this and this, even though they're linked together. Do I have to group? No, this is already the foundation of the scene, so no. Okay, anyways, we did that. It'll look fine. Close enough. This will probably be all fucked up or back to normal because I didn't ever run the test, so I never adjusted to the higher base template thing. Okay, so one of the things this guy got going for it. Great. I've been muted that whole time. Oh no, I'm not muted because I'm not broadcasting from this. Yay! Okay, one of the things this has got going for it. Okay, performance mode does really make everything a little better. But Also, in comparison, so like I already said, the peak meter animations go the F away, but the chat window is built in over here, so that's nice. We're gonna test. Does this have an automatic? Oh, no window. No. Start speech dictation. Close window. There's no auto tune, right? Maybe not even an advanced. Okay, well, we did all the other things. This one is now set. We're going to test 48 FPS. See it. If that provides something that's slick enough, but also doesn't overburden the thing. We're going to do the same thing on OBS. I'll show you the change. It'll be the first thing we do when we switch. But here we go. Okay, in terms of all the rest, everything, nothing else is being changed. Nothing else has been changed here. Nothing has been changed here. Nothing has changed here. Nothing has changed here. Alright, I'm excited to find out which one actually performs the betterest. And I'm judging that by how free of lag / dropped frames / all that. I wish that this little window of info gave me this as detailed as much as the OBS one. They're so close and yet so far apart, these two. Whoa, as you can see, that took a toll. So I'm gonna be merging in my mind the analysis, my own vibe-driven analysis of noting this, the bit rate, the stability, and the green / red, and the line, and the actual value that it stays pinned to. And the net result of rewatching the video, if I go back and either hand select a bunch of clips from there, do they look good? They look good enough to not feel too embarrassed to repost them on social media to try to get eyeballs? Does it look pretty decent rewatching it on my phone, etc.? Decent enough. Especially if I'm going for a cyberpunk gritty vibe anyways, it's fine. Okay, so we're back over here. This is where we actually are. So that's fun. We're testing. Look at that. We're getting into dangerous territory. 41. Come back over here. Desktop portal. 41% skipped frames due to encoding. That's because I'm up at the 50 frames per second parameter. I'm gonna update everything here. I mean, we'll step through doing that together in the next little micro episode. After I wrap up this one finally. The last thing I'll do before returning to the writing is decide about actually live streaming to TikTok. And it'll just be a short, hello, celebratory, guess what? I finally got access to TikTok Studio on my iMac. I didn't used to have this. We're going to start using this and start figuring out where that audience is over there. And that way we'll keep it exclusive and I can do whatever the F I want over there. And I can figure out a way to stream exclusive over there. With either of these two, which I think there may be a way with at least one of them. And compare and contrast that. But we'll see what kind of performance we get out of it. Okay. Enough of that. I'm intrigued to see where things are at in terms of the video quality. Bummer, as you can see over here, come back over here to the Infinity Desktop portal. This is looking generally better now that I don't have it on the ridiculously bigger screen size. But I can't wait to see how it does at 48. if it's noticeably better or if I need to push it down to 30. Part of me is like going to be like, it'll be a disappointing micro episode of like, nope, that's not going to last. Pump it down to 30. Part of me wants to push all of it down to 30 now. But anyways, this no longer has a built-in. This used to have a chat window, a floating dock for chat. I don't know what the F I did or where the F it went and what the F I'm supposed to do about it, but it troubles me, friends. But luckily, we've got usable interfaces, everything, both of these work, and I'm committed now to the idea of exploring, tapping into the multiple platforms I theoretically could be single instance streaming to, and then like cross-populating, rebroadcasting content from other, like I'm going to go live on Facebook Gaming for Gaming Mr. Zeppo Facebook page and be like, hey, here's the last game I played. And it's a recording from yesterday because we went live on Twitch all day yesterday and we played there. So let's watch clips, most of it there while we rewatch it, make commentary, and make new clips. We'll do weird shit like that. We're going to get meta with it. Let's go. All the while also farming my internal mind and the weirdo improv inspiration of people asking me questions. So when people ask me questions, my brain goes into lore master mode. When people ask me a question about the Zeppoverse, I can go on a rant that would rival that guy that talks about Dune or that guy that talks about Marvel Comics, but it's about a book series that doesn't exist here in this universe. Because I forgot to bring it with me for mine, and I apparently didn't ever exist in this universe until I got transferred here through some sort of clerical error or foul play. One of the two. One of the many lingering pins on the corkboard mysteries we're going to try and figure out in the coming days, weeks, months, and years as we work through our bizarre, prolonged, pseudo self-collaborative, time-traveling, experimental multimedia development process, which doesn't make sense, but someday will. Welcome to the madness, and thank you for being here. I'll be right back after fine-tuning everything a little bit more. Oh, I said before we left we were going to fire up this thing, but I think we'll do it on the next episode after we fine-tune for the best quality on both. Yeah, we're gonna switch. We're currently live using OBS, broadcasting OBS. I need to match OBS to whatever we decide about 30. I might just skip testing 48. But what if 48 is some magical sweet spot? I don't know. We're going to find out. I think we are just going to test. Join me in a hot second as I swap over to Streamlabs desktop to test the settings you just watched me set. Reset OBS to match them, or realize that forget it, just go to 30. And then preview what it looks like inside TikTok Live Studio before actually going live to TikTok. If I have a really great audience interaction with TikTok Live or a really great discovery about it or go on a great riff about it, I'll rebroadcast it to my other platforms. I'm going to start skipping, scapping, cross-referencing videos without referencing them by just playing them inside themselves as part of the show, and like responding to them and stopping to analyze them and go off on tangents. Right, future self? Pretty crazy idea that was part of the hiccups. Pretty crazy idea that's been part of the show concept design from the very beginning. I've just never really executed it. Theoretically, and we'll know definitively by next Sunday, but theoretically, I may just be juggling between TikTok Live Studio to stream directly to TikTok Whichever one I like for Twitch best, between OBS and Streamlabs Desktop, to Twitch, to stream exclusively to Twitch, and whichever other one is easy and convenient to relog to one of the other platforms like Facebook or something without it being a big hassle, and stream to that. I'm going to see what I can do with OBS. Has a whole menu of like, log into these platforms and stream here with a bazillion platforms I've never heard of. So I got to go flip through those and see if Facebook shows up in one of them. And or consider revisiting. I have profiles on Kick and that other one that has green and a big hard consonant sound letter. I'm going to try to mix it up, folks. And then the goal is for everyone to visit my book series and read it. And if enough traffic starts going to my podcast, that I can reactivate the pro mode, start listening live to because that's the coolest part about the podcast, is if you go there live, then you can type questions to there live as part of the Sprecher.com studio thing, just like you can here, but it's with this. And anyways, I really love that, and it's the best monetization thing that when it gets listened to, kicks me the best money. And that if we had just a few thousand people around the world per country, my podcast on Sprecher hit a world for me, a personal world record of being listened to at some point by a handful of people, less than a baker's dozen, in over 25 countries. The count fluctuated between 27 and I don't think we ever broke 30, but I could say in 25 plus countries around the world. I could say the show was listened to in 25 plus countries around the world. By 2.5 people. But if we can drive some traffic there by live streaming and making a fool of myself and sharing these magic movie loop moments on all the different socials, then hopefully we can actually survive this pre-apocalypse downslide into the self-commodifying perma-online economy. Everybody else is doing it. Why can't I? I'm weird, wild, wacky, and I have said many a controversial thing. Maybe I didn't really say one today, but tune in for more as we explore the madness. I try to reanimate my own thing and try to anchor it all back into remembering that I enjoy playing video games when I do play the video game content, and it not feeling like a terrible, horrible life choice grind, but something that is actually fun and that I can pull inspiration driving art / animation examples for my own future fan fiction crossover stories set in the super mashup world of meta games. I can't call it that. Damn it. I remember when that wasn't a company. When whatever Facebook was a different name in a different company. And whatever, no disrespect to the company Meta. I wanted to brand that one. I feel like they yoinked it out from underneath of me. Not that anyone from them has ever paid attention to me, but I just love metaverse, meta literary, meta literature, metacognitive. I like all the them being a giant corporation uses of the word. Now it feels like do they play fair in like cohabitating with the fact that those other words exist? That's a question. I guess we'll find out on the darndest things. And can we say that anymore? The podcast about what the F we can get away with saying or not saying. Because people are saying some crazy shit on the internet. So far, Twitch, to the best of my knowledge, actually delivers so long as I declare myself not for kids and to be inclined to use lots of salty language and/or imbibe adult beverages and/or smoke on screen, they got little buttons. I can just bloop, 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 and then they're like, what else? Do what you want. But we'll find out what happens as it's an idea from a while back that I found preemptively exhausting mentally. And I don't have a big, giant, massive, water-cooled, custom-built, insert the correct, impressive name, brand, PC to just power the multi-streaming by going pro. If I could, I would. Tune in to find out what happens there. Help me crowdfund/fundraise for better times in the future. All right. All that and more as we continue to make an absolute fool of ourselves. First, quality assurance testing these now 3 available studios. Trust me, I didn't used to have these at all. Then suddenly my dreams and my prayers were answered. My dreams came true and my prayers were answered. Hallelujah to the goddess and gods and their digital gremlins of the digital Godoverse, to which I pray. Hallelujah, amen, thank you. Okay, so we're going to test the other thing. We're going to I already said all those things a bunch of times. What am I looking at? I was trying to make clips so I can try to share them. Boom. We're back over here. I hope that works out. I hope that this idea of like rotating platforms and rotating the different studios so that I got like, if I've got 3 available live streaming studios, they can each for free lock and load me to look nice and clean and crisp and pretty decent, given that I'm using this old tiny Mac on 3 different platforms without thinking about it. I'll start doing that on a regular basis. Like, hell, maybe even, I don't know, I'll start tinkering with it and experimenting with it. And for now, friends, I'll stop rambling about it. Let's find out what the new settings look like on OBS and what the insides of the Red app looks like for their studio, which I've never seen before because used to not be available for Mac. Woohoo! Off we go. Ciao for now, friends. Hasta la vista. I'll be back in just a hot second. We're just going to hot swap studio applications out.